Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, May 9th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll see here that price has pulled back a little bit more in overnight trading, taking out the recent lows yesterday in the room. Even though this was forming another rejection style tail here, we could tell it really wasn't the pivot low, and it wouldn't surprise us if we would take out a little bit lower levels. We still have the previous month's high, or month's low rather, right here, which could still provide an opportunity to reject. We are in the CLVN here, so at some point the expectation is we will find a strong low and we will return back toward recent highs. However, right now the way it's playing out, it looks like the market is trying to develop a strong low already. Doesn't appear so in the chart, but if you look at the 1 minute chart, you have a pretty solid rejection that occurs just after 2:30 a.m. Central, and for the next 60 minutes another rejection occurs, and so far we're right back up toward ETH VWAP. So we're right in that zone right now, forming higher highs, higher lows, and by the end of the day it wouldn't surprise me if we are back above 2080. If that type of day plays out, we throw off a tail here, it would be an easy idea to come back and retest the recent highs, perhaps fill this gap and get it back into the zone, having traded in this distribution here. So just some things to consider here. Continue to watch to see if those lows remain intact. We take a look here at the NQ, you'll see very similar price action. You can see here price again pulling back within the overall uptrend, the deepest pullback we've had so far this year. We're now coming into the LVN here. We have the previous month's low just below. But if you look again at the pre-market chart there, the 1 minute chart or the overnight chart, you have kind of a double bottom, failed higher low type of pattern here, and that is leading to a modest move up, which could, over the course of the rest of the day, lead to a daily rejection here where both of these recent lows are rejected and we're closing somewhere back above them. So again, if that type of day develops, we could be slingshotting back up toward the previous month's high and close at the very least, with a shot to see a move higher. Perhaps we form a trading range from there, perhaps we keep on going, maybe it rejects and we drop harder, who knows. But if this is a strong low right now, high odds favor that we come back toward this the zone that we just sold off from. Alright, let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil is inside day. That's what it is right there. You got one inside this one inside that one, this one inside that one, and you have kind of a diamond shape with the inside day back over here before we saw that expansion. So we have this very unique pattern here that doesn't play out often. Usually you'll get an inside day and you get expansion, kind of like we did here, and see higher volatility the next day, but sometimes you'll get a double inside day. And from there you tend to see major expansion in the next day. We're not seeing that just yet, but the day's not over. We're still inside day again. But the goal is watch these edges here, because a failure to hold 61 or a breakout through 62, one or the other there likely sparks the next key move. And at times there can be a failure, so a failure first followed by a move higher. So for example, this thing could break down first through 61s and reject, and then we end up breaking higher. It could also come up here and break to the upside above 63s, reject, and then end up breaking to the downside. So again, just keep an eye on how this thing plays out. You want a very solid rejection. If any failure, likely slingshots this thing in the other direction. So right now the overall goal is 60 here is intact. We're trying to see if this remains the strong low here, and so far 61s have been defended. The 75 to 61 zone has been defended. So everything still looks like it has a good shot to go higher, but sometimes you need a flush down before you pop higher. So again, that's just something that I'll be looking for with crude oil. Alright, let's take a look now at gold futures. With gold, we are right now inside the trigger zone of the rejection day in the previous session. We've been talking about 1290 being a big time level there. We have lower highs coming into it. We had these lower highs here rejected at 1290, but this lower low rejection led to a retest. And that retest right now is very significant because in the previous session it could not hold above that 1290 zone. As a matter of fact, it formed a head and shoulder pattern up there, broke below 1290, and then continued downward the rest of the session. Very, very bearish. And now you see over here, we have an inside day developing, very narrow, and on the pullback, and this is what I mentioned in the trading room yesterday, the pullback to between this blue dot and that gold dot right there, a yellow dot. That's basically, you know, the 1286 to 1288 zone. Any pullback to that zone was going to offer an opportunity to sell it for the first sellers there outside of the rejection over here, and that could lead to at least a retest of these lows and a shot likely to break through them this time, given the rejection at 1290. Any close above 1290 breaks the pattern, and we head back higher. So again, 1290 is still the major pivot, and we still have to watch to see how this develops. But overall, bears defending here for a shot at pushing this thing downward. Lastly, I want to look at RTY. RTY has been a focus here for us in the room and also in the pre-market report at times, especially at these critical times in the chart. And lately, it's been sitting right here inside this range. I thought it had a shot to really see expansion in here when things were very tightly coiled and looking like it could go. And instead, a stop run day down led to a bounce back up, and then again we've had quite the volatile exchange here at these highs. So right now we're back in that spot where we've generally seen strength come into play. And again, looking at the 1 minute chart, you'll see that there's a pretty sharp rejection at around 2:45 in the morning AM time at 1562. That rejection was so strong, price pushed right back up to 1658. So that was a good, 5.5, 6 handle rally. It pulls back to 1564s, and 1564s lead to a higher low. Ever since, it's been pushing higher. So right now it's sitting right at VWAP. And again, this is the earliest sign that perhaps we could see rejection developing. That could lead to a rejection day sequence that leads higher. This could be the earliest rejection. So again, if this thing can continue to hold the 1567s, again, another area where a higher low has formed, we could continue to push higher in the near term, which again opens the door back up to recent highs, 1600 to 1610 easily, and perhaps even just through them. We're developing kind of an expanding range here to the upside. So overall, this could be a nice opportunity here where a rejection day is perhaps developing. We have to confirm it by the end of the session, but we know what to look for here, and if one does develop, this thing could bounce quite a bit higher. Alright, that's it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.